ॐ विश्वं दर्पणदृश्यमाननगरी तुल्यन्निजान्तर्गतं पश्यन्नात्मनि मायया बहिरिवोद्भूतं यथा निद्रया यः साक्षात् कुरुते प्रबोधसमये स्वात्मानमेवाद्वयं तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये बीजस्यान्तरिवाङ्कुरो जगदिदं प्राङ्निर्विकल्पं पुनः मायाकल्पितदेशकालकलना वैचित्रचित्रीकृतं मायावीव विजृम्भयत्यपि महायोगी वयस्वेच्छया तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम् यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थिततन्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनः यस्यान्तं न विदुःसुरासुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः देवाय तस्मै नमः। Verse 58 यदा संहरते चायं कूर्मोऽङ्गानीव सर्वशः इन्द्रियाणीन्द्रियार्थेभ्यः तस्य प्रज्ञा प्रतिष्ठिता विषया विनिवर्तन्ते निराहारस्य देहिनः रसवर्जं रसोऽप्यस्य परं दृष्ट्वा निवर्तते। So it's a section of description of a wise person, sita prajna lakshanani. At the same time, this is telling us how to become wise person. The people who are seeker of this knowledge, well, they also gain, they can also become a wise person like him and can lead a very beautiful life, provided they, whatever has been described, whatever the description is there of a wise person, they implement in their life in an alert manner. So the people who are seeker, well, we call them prajnaha, definitely, because they also have got a knowledge, and therefore he is prajnaha. And the person, a wise person, is sthira prajnaha or sthita prajnaha, who has abided in the knowledge, self-knowledge. So, this person who wants to become wise, who wants to have a nishtha in knowledge, well, he should undergo the three processes. The first thing is, which of course the Bhagavad is highlighting here, and that is a sensory regulation. Because this we find in a wise person. So that's how it has been told, Indriyani Indriyarthebhyah samharate. So A sensory regulation we find in a wise person, and therefore that becomes a value, a norm for the person who is in the process of becoming wise. So that in that verse 58 to 61, Bhagavan is describing this sensory regulation. Well, it is a natural, it's a spontaneous expression on the part of a wise person. He has not to regulate the senses. For him, it is just because since knowledge is firm, so nothing can disturb him. And he is like a tree, When person is in a stage of a plant, when he is a plant, definitely, certain things are required. But once it becomes a tree, then nothing disturbs. Plant gets disturbed even in a little more wind also. May bend down, but then tree cannot bend. And therefore he is like, his knowledge is so firm that nothing can disturb him. And for him, so sensory regulation is not required, but it has become his nature. Because since he has followed for many, many years sensory regulation, so it has become his nature. So automatically also, his senses would remain in control. But the person who wants to become wise, definitely he has to put some effort, and that is what has been described. So verse 58 to 61 gives a 4 verses. This deal with the sensory regulation. That's the one thing which is required for a person who wants to become wise. Second thing he requires is a manonigraha, which is going to be talked also later. Manonigraha means basically regulating the thought process. Regulating the senses, 1. Regulating the thought process, 2nd. And of course, nididhyasanam is required. He should dwell upon the nature of the self, dwelling upon the teaching. He should play what has been recorded. What has been recorded in his mind during the class. Well, or he can keep the notes also. It need not be nididhyasanam. Our nididhyasanam is never it's an open eye meditation. Open eye meditation. Unlike all meditations, everywhere they will first switch off the lights so that you cannot see anything. Because you may open the eyes, often. Therefore, they make it dark, so you cannot see. And then again says you close your eyes, etc. But basically, our meditations are open eye meditation. And sometime I will talk about this nididhyasanam in detail, how many types of nididhyasanam. But this just reminds me that we should talk sometime. But anyway, so open eye meditation means you can keep your notes also in front, because you may not be able to remember everything, nothing to worry about. And therefore, Atma is Nitya. Now, today I want to dwell upon it. I am Nitya. Now, how to start, Swamiji? That's a problem. Okay, then keep some notes. Because that description is there in the class. And so keep those at least few lines in front and dwell upon. Well, this is nididhyasana. And this is how you are going to sthira prajna. That's because you have got a clarity that I am Nitya. But basically, because of the habitual error, etc., you have not got an abidance. Your knowledge is not, steadfast. It again goes back to, in Deha, etc., Atma Buddhi occurs. Nothing to worry, because it's a habit, and therefore we have to come out of the habit. It's a very, very old habit, so it's going to take time. The certain habits in this life itself takes so much of time. Then this is, ignorance is anadi, and therefore this habit of taking the body as a self is also anadi. So nothing to worry. Very first thing, whenever, the first advice they give once you enter into the gates of Vedanta is that never feel guilty. More you feel guilty, more you are away from the knowledge. And therefore, even in the next verse, Bhagavan is going to tell that. But at the same time, alertness. So, 2 advices is going to give in next verse. But what I am saying is, so don't feel guilty. Because of that fear of feeling guilty, we sometimes avoid certain things. Nothing to feel guilty. It is going to take time. Educate your mind that this habit will not go away overnight like this. Today I have learned I am Brahman and I got clarity also, and tomorrow I have got a abidance in the knowledge. Well, my knowledge is very steadfast, etc. This is not going to happen that way. And therefore, there is no, because miracle. Here there is no miracle. Here 1 plus 1 is equal to 2. That's what this kind of a thing we have. It's a knowledge. And therefore, it may take some time to assimilate. Even in the creation, everything is like this. Everything basically is like this. Takes time. Any growth, even you see the plant growth, you see the bird, that bird comes out and becomes a flower. Oh ho! Here, because I'm seeing in this, in our ashram itself, so many days. Even I have become impatient that now it should open, I should see what kind of a flower, what kind of a color, what kind of a shape. I am so eager, but it goes on its own pace. Everything in the creation grows. Of course they grow, but in its own pace. And you will find a leisure in the nature. That's a very beautiful thing. They give a message to us, is a leisure. Nature has a leisure. Even a bird flies, you will see how they fly. And the breeze, or how the sun moves, everywhere. You find that there is a leisure in the nature. There is no agitation. Agitation is only here in this human mind. Otherwise, there is no agitation anywhere. So anyway, that's a different thing. But what is my point is, 3 things are required, basically. And the first thing is, this Indriya Nigraha, that we talked about yesterday also, Damaha Pratyahara. So that is regulating the senses. And then second is Mano Nigraha, Shamaha, that is regulating the thought process. And the third thing is Nididhyasanam, dwelling upon the teaching, Vedantic teaching. These 3 things makes the seeker steadfast in knowledge, called Sthira Prajna. And once you become Sthira Prajna, definitely you don't need anything. Automatically your senses would be regulated. Your senses would remain under control because it has become your nature. You have formed that kind of a habit to keep the senses under control. Now you don't require to control them. They are automatically under the control. So Krishna gives an example also for sensory regulation. And I'm referring to verse 58. I feel that I should move to that verse a little bit to dwell upon that, and that's how I have gone back. Of course, we have started verse 59, but I am still referring to verse 58. So, and Bhagavan gave this example for a sensory regulation or a withdrawal of senses, and that example is of a tortoise. And tortoise, it can easily be killed. Yesterday we talked. Because it doesn't have any special weapon in its hand to strike back. And every other animal has got some kind of a weapon. Somebody has got nails, somebody has got teeth, or somebody has horns. Sometimes horn itself is very lethal. A horn kick even to a wild animal will kill. A lion may get killed by this buffalo, wild buffalo, may get killed. He has come to prey upon that, but then, he himself becomes a victim because of the horn of that wild buffalo. Anyway, so everyone has got a weapon, but this tortoise does not have any weapon to fight back. And therefore, in any situation, it can be easily killed. But Bhagavan has given a very beautiful thing, a protective armor has been given to it. So a very thick shell is given. And you cannot do anything to the shell. And you can do to its limbs, of course, 4 legs and a head, very soft, and they can be injured, etc. But the tortoise, when it is moving, and definitely it moves around. It goes for sightseeing. You will find in this jungle, you will find they keep moving from here to there. And even they cross the road also, and sometimes they get killed also. But what my point is, so they go for sightseeing, everything. But whenever they find some danger, immediately all the 5 limbs, 4 legs and that head take into itself. and you will find just some like a small rock kind of a thing. And when danger comes, because he doesn't have anything else, no weapon, and very no strength to fight, and so it withdraws the four legs and he hit. So all the limbs, five limbs are withdrawn, and that's very important for us somehow. We also, the sense organs are five, and four legs and one head he has, and all the limbs, Sarvasha, Bhagavan says, Sarvasha means all the limbs are withdrawn.
Okay, thank you for letting me know.
How long? Until the threat is there. Till then he will remain in that withdrawn stage. The moment the threat is gone, again it puts out and it starts a journey. Similarly, a prajna also, this person who is a seeker, of course, he can transact with the world freely, but the moment, just a minute.
Sure, thank you, ma'am. Thank you, you too. Bye.
So a person can transact with the world freely, but the moment, he sees that there is an occasion where our raga may be provoked, dvesha may be provoked, kama may be provoked, krodha may be provoked, well, then our ego can become stronger. There are so many chances that ego can become stronger. And well, because what happens is, especially sometime in our own circle, our Vedantic seeker circle, this problem is very evident. Like basically a group of seekers in which everyone has that kind of a resolve that I should not argue with the people and unnecessarily create a heat. So a argumentative person is there. Well, he also becomes an argumentative. So if the other person starts argument, and this is very interesting experiment to do. But who has done something? Myself is a victim. I'm telling you. In olden days, I used to do that kind of a thing, and well, it doesn't pay. That's how I request that this is very important. This is a danger for us. Because for kurma, for a tortoise, that's one kind of danger. For us, our insistences on certain points of Vedanta itself becomes a big, it's a danger in fact. It's nothing but an ego clash, really speaking. It's very bitter to say it that way, but it is really just an ego clash. I also know it, and this what I know is truth. And the other person says what I know is truth. And then hours together, this kind of arguments keep going without any, in fact, it happens so. I have observed that both the parties are wrong. But both of them are wrong. Because the question comes to a Swami, then says, no, Swami, he says that when I say that when, so what is the actually, then I find that this argumentation is really a dangerous thing. At that time, it's very important that you have to withdraw like a tortoise. Not withdraw from the meeting. Understand that. Become alert and withdraw from the argumentation. Withdraw from that. Just listen what they say. And if you cannot remain, that I have to say something, because I am in a meeting, I have to say something, well, in a certain discussion, then say that, yeah, your point is right, but it could be a standpoint. Well, that is sufficient. It is sufficient, in which you will also have a satisfaction that you have not agreed totally to his view. So you can say it may be a standpoint. What you say is correct, but it could be a standpoint. From other standpoint, it can be looked upon other way also. Anyway, so normally I may not be a very argumentative, arguing type, but there are people, they provoke. And unknowingly, you will find that you are in that rut. And once you get into that, well, it is like you cannot go back. It is exactly like the toothpaste. Once the paste comes out of that tube, and then it is more, and you want to put it back. now cannot do anything. So remember, before entering the meeting, it is going to happen. Somebody is going to provoke some argumentation, and you will find the other one picks up, the third, fourth one picks up, and it goes on. Then at that time, be alert. Remember the example of a toothpaste and come out of it. Come out of means be silent. Be silent. And they will ask you, why are you not saying anything? Why? It's a group discussion. You should also say something. Yeah, what you are saying, yeah, there may be a standpoints. You may be right, but then from other standpoint, it could be something else also. Okay, let's go ahead. Now we can say that much. So you cannot tell them let's have a coffee because it's a virtual meeting, suppose. You cannot say that. But anyway, so my point is we also have certain dangers and there are other situations. We'll discuss that. There are situations for us where we can get angry also and etc. So definitely, so once you get into that argument, it's going to be difficult. So prevention, yesterday we talked about prevention is better than cure. And once you jump into that and then ultimately say, no, sorry, I did not mean that way. You may be right, but I was also in that heat of argument and this and that and okay, now let's resolve it. Now and this, and we'll meet next week and this and that. It's a cure, but that cure will not help too long. I think its prevention is better. So once you get into that, you cannot come out, and therefore you successfully withdraw. It's a great accomplishment. I mean, to successfully withdraw and to remain away is a great accomplishment. Like the way this tortoise saves its life, really. It's so alert, even though it's moving around. It is so alert. A little danger also, it will immediately takes all the limbs into itself. And therefore, this is an experiment. I mean, it is also it is for our own knowledge. Anyway, so kurmaha angani samharante. So Bhagavan says kurmaha, this tortoise. Samharante means withdraws. All sarvashaha. So angani, sarvashaha angani means it's all five limbs. From all the five directions also, you can say, because they are in different direction, it takes away within itself. So what should I do? I should also withdraw all the sense organs, but I told you have to interact to the world with the sense organs, and therefore you cannot withdraw totally. So like kurma, you can also transact with your sense organs in the world. Different types of sense objects are there, shabda, sparsha, etc. all, but have a eye upon, be alert upon this kind of a situation. And this is just a situation about argumentation, but other than that, there are several things we see in the world, and we should know what we are seeing, where our eyes go, etc. also is very, very important. Especially, we may not be seeing, perhaps, all people, seekers may not be seeing all TV programs and all that, perhaps. But, on WhatsApp, etc., hours and hours go. Hours and hours. Anything we start, then you keep on seeing, and the whole information is there. Whole world is there in this. And, from one end to other end, all kinds of programs and, natural history and this and that, what not. And so from one to second to third, hours and hours. This is also a danger. A person like us has the value of a time. All of us have a value of a time because we are all seekers. We know, we have become alert. This life is very, very important, very, very precious. And just for the sake of some enjoyment, our eyes remain in that. And therefore, basically, we should be aware where our senses go. This is one. And never feel that let my senses go, I will try to control through the mind, or I will have some filter in the mind. That's another thing. I will have some filter in the mind. Certain information I will just, push it out. Information I will push out. Well, that is not going to happen. Therefore, that kind of let's not have that kind of a idea in our mind. And so remember that nyaya is very important. Prakshalanathi pankasya Durat asparshanam varam. Prakshalanati pankasa. Once you enter into the mud and then try to clean the mud coming out, it's better not to enter. And therefore, that is very important. And sometime, on mobile also, our own people, this is not I'm talking about you, I'm just talking in general. Our own people, even our own seekers, or sometimes talk over mobile for so long, and in that a lot of thing which is of gossip only. Well, and therefore here also we require some kind of a control. Anyway, so there are many things we can definitely look into that, but this is how it is. And one more thing, at the level of an organ of hearing, you may hear a faults of other person, censure of other person, ninda basically, and that is also a very, because you are trying to clean your mind, and somebody is coming and thinking that you are a garbage, you are a dustbin, and wants to throw some kind of a garbage in your head, and somehow you like that. So others' criticism, others' censure, etc. somehow you like. You means I don't think you. I'm just telling in general like that, and it creates a problem. So here also you have to withdraw, like a tortoise. Well, definitely, but how can I withdraw? I am in the home and the other person in the family talks about it. You can change the topic. Or you can explain the person, we should not talk about it. We have our own drawbacks, we have our own problems, and therefore, if somebody talks about us, we will not like, same way we should not talk, etc. And still the person is not able to accept it, then definitely you will have to become strong. You should say, I am not interested in this kind of things. You should say. He may feel bad for a few days, but if it is a family member, definitely it may not run long. That, within few days again, he will resolve that problem. So our sensory interactions we will have to regulate. This is so important because we are already in the process. We are already doing Shravana Manan Nididhyasanam, Shravanam Mananam, etc. Nididhyasanam also we may have started. But if we don't have this thing, a sensory control or sensory regulation, control means sensory regulation, definitely we are not going to gain Nishtha. That's for sure. And so we'll have to, in our mind, we should have an importance that what we want. Either a sensory control is important, sensory regulation is important, or non-regulation is important. If sensory regulation is there, ultimately I have a value for Nishtha and I have a value for Moksha. And if the regulation is not there, there's going to be a problem. So anyway, like the Kurmaha withdraws, so Kurmaha Angani Eva means like. Indriyani Indriyarthebhyaha, this Prajnaha also withdraws. So I am just talking about now, not Sthita Prajna, but talking about the seekers. They will also have to withdraw. Indriyani Indriyarthebhyaha. Indriya Artha. Indriya Artha means the object pertaining to a given object pertaining to that sense organ. A respective sense object. Indriya Artha means an object. So Indriyani Samharate. That person, I am Purushaha, this person, this seeker, withdraws. So he regulates. And so this person withdraws the sense organs from the sense objects intelligently, judiciously. And what happens is, so one has to be very careful. Whatever habits we have, old habits, that may go in course of time. They become weaker and then they will go. And therefore, by regulating sense organs, we want to convey that definitely new habits you may not develop. To say for the first time somebody offers something, at that time to say no is easy. Once you take, then the second time you will find that your saying no has become weaker now. Third time it becomes more weaker. So, basically, first time saying, no is, I'm acting out of the strength. Second time, well, that object as though becomes stronger and my negation or my saying no becomes weaker. And this is how even they say in Ramayana, the Vali actually is the example for this kind of a sensory addiction. So Vali, as long as, he's not in front, no problem. You have a strength to fight. But moment it comes in the front, half of the strength goes to him. That was some kind of a boon Vali has. Similarly, every addictive thing, it's maybe new, but as long as it is not in front, and I am strong. And once you give a welcome to that, then later on, your strength will go to the same addictive thing. And therefore, best thing is do not confront. Certain new objects, don't try. People say, let's try. Then in trial, ultimately, you welcome them, and they get more and more strength once you start enjoying, and they are like Vali, basically. So, yaha indriyani indriyarthebhyaha samharante. So, somebody told me, they say, especially in alcohol, etc., I think, that don't take the first one. You can have a second drink, but not the first one. So that's some kind of a saying is there. You can have a second drink, but not the first one. So that's what it indicates. So once you welcome them, definitely this thing happens. So indriyani indriyarthebhyaha samharante tasya prajna pratisthita bhavati. This is how it has been told. Let's go to now that verse. Vishaya vinivartante. So Vishayaha vinivartante. We have discussed also, we have started. The sense objects, Vishayaha means sense objects, and sense organs also you can take. Sense objects or sense organs, rasa varjam, living behind the rasa. Rasa means a desire, yearning, fancy. So senses basically live behind that fancy, and drop off for a person who is not enjoying them, niraharasya. So, vinivartante means you drop off. Rasavarjam rasopyasya. So, vishayaha niraharasya dehinaha vishayaha rasavarjam vinivartante. Asya rasaha api param drishtva nivartante. So, even this fancy, asya rasaha, for this person, this fancy of this person, nivartate, drops off, what? Param drishtva, after knowing the Brahman, after knowing the self, which is Ananda. So, this is what the translation is. Now, yesterday I told you that we'll discuss first two words are important for us, niraharasya dehina. The word nirahara basically has been formed from the ahara. Ahara, nirahara. What is ahara here? Ahara means ahriyate iti ahara, which is taken in through the senses. Like food or any sense object which is taken in through the respective sense organ is called ahara. So only we are aware of this. Whatever we take with the help of mouth, we take that it is ahara. But that is ahara, it's all right. But this, what we take through the eyes, different forms and colors. What we take, different kinds of words through the organ of hearing, etc. Or different types of smells, different types of taste, etc. And that we talked about, but the different type of touches also, all different objects of touch. Well, definitely all these objects are also called ahara. They are taken in through the respective sense organ. And in Veda it has been, in Chandogya itself there is a statement, Ahara Shuddhau Sattva Shuddhihi. Ahara Shuddhau Sattva Shuddhihi means when you take any sense object through that sense organ, you have to check the quality of that ahara, quality of that particular food. Means a form, different form is also a food for that sense organ. So check the food basically. And so Bhashyakara says very beautifully that Sattva Shuddhihi means basically the purity of the mind. Purity of the mind merely does not depend upon the food you take. Purity of the mind is basically dependent upon the varieties of the ahara, varieties of the sense objects taken by the varieties of the, or through the sense, five sense organs. And that's how we have seen that some people take a very, very sattvic food also, but still their mind is very, very agitated, very, very angry, etc. The reason is through other means, through other sense organs, whatever the food they are taking in is not proper. That may not be sattvic. And therefore, this is a very beautiful statement in Chandogya, Ahara Shuddhau Sattva Shuddhihi. Well, when Ahara Shuddhau means when whatever the ahara you take in, if that is pure, Sattva Shuddhihi means the mind will become pure. Pure means it will be free from different kinds of this kama, krodha, etc., anger, etc. So, this is, and here Niraharasya. Niraharasya means he is not taking any kind of a food from the, through the sense organs, because he has withdrawn. He has withdrawn the sense organs, and so he is not taking any kind of a sense objects inside. So let's say regulation of sense organs or regulation of sense objects also. He prevents certain sense objects to enter in. Well, definitely. So this is nirahara, and this person is a dehi also. Dehi. Dehi means what? Dehaha asya asti iti dehi. Like dhanam asya asti iti dhani. I am purposely telling this. So, deha asya asti means the one who is indwelling in the body is called dehi. But merely that is not enough. Yesterday itself I have told you that merely indwelling the body it's not difficult. But you take yourself as the owner of the body. More than that, you take the body as the self. That is called dehi. We call generally jiva also. And while discussing regarding this word, this word has come before also in the second chapter itself. And that time I have given you the meaning. Dehi has a two meaning. Either you can call jiva, or the indweller of this body, all the three bodies, is the Sakshi, and that is Chaitanyam also. So if you don't have identified with the body, well, definitely still that indwelling consciousness, and who is a witness of all the three bodies, is called Brahman. So Dehi can become, well, Lakshartha can become, the meaning will be Brahman. And if you just take a Vachyartha, the direct meaning of the word Dehi is nothing but this jiva, one who has identified with the body. So that is the meaning. And merely, as I told you, merely indwelling the body will not be the meaning of word Dehi, because like I said, Dhani. Let's think about this. Dhani. Dhanamasya asti iti dhani. So one who indwells in this wealth is dhani. So any banker, a very big bank is there, and definitely the general manager, and so much of transaction, cash and other things, and they have safe deposit vaults, and in which there are so many jewels and everything is there. So the people, they sit just between all these things. They hold the banking staff, and especially general manager, so who is in control of the entire thing. So, well, dhanam asya asti iti dhani, but still bank manager is not called dhani. Bank manager is not called wealthy person. because he knows even though he is indwelling in this lot of wealth, but he does not possess the wealth. He does not consider himself as a owner of the wealth. That's a property, and that's all. Money belongs to all the account holders, etc. And same way, so Dehi also, merely indwelling the body is, we cannot call Dehi. One who says, I am the owner of the body, or more than that even, I am the body, well, that is called Dehi. And so Niraharasya Dehinaha, well, the person who has withdrawn from the senses, and he has identification with the body, and definitely, once he has an identification, definitely the sense of limitation will not go, because with a limited thing he is considering as a self, and therefore sense of lack will be there, and therefore desire also will be there to come out of the lack. And so several objects he will look upon as objects of pleasure and security. That is called rasaha. So varieties of the objects are there, but he is emotionally dependent upon them for happiness, for security. So, rasa varjam. So why I give you this meaning is, how come the rasa will be there? How come such a desire, even though he has withdrawn? So, if you remember yesterday, I have given you the difference between an ignorant person and a wise person. Like a person who is behind the bars, if you remember, or the person who is in the hospital, or the person who has some illness. And there are other also, like the person who is a yogi, he has withdrawn the sense. All these people have definitely withdrawn their senses from the sense objects because of one or other reason. But basically they all have the yearning or a taste or a desire or a fancy of the sense objects in their mind. So even though physically they have withdrawn, there is a physical separation between sense objects and senses, but that's not enough, because the emotional dependence is there, because that fancy is still there upon there is a dependence, emotional dependence is there on objects. Why? Because the sense of lack or limitation is there. Why it is there? Because he considers this body as a self. Why he considers? Because there is ignorance. And therefore, the person who is ignorant will definitely, even suppose you advise them, he is a seeker, but he has not yet got jnana, clarity. Then such a person, when we discuss like this and the object does not have a security and pleasure and everything, intellectually may get agree and creates a distance or through the withdrawal between, the distance will be in terms of senses and the sense object will be that kind of a distance. So basically he has withdrawn, but that rasa, that fancy towards the objects has not gone. That's what Bhagavan is telling. Vishayaha niraharasya dehinaha vishayaha vinivartante. For such a person, niraharasya, he is not taking. He has a sense control. He is following sense regulation. Right? He has regulated his senses, but dehinaha. Dehinaha means one who has identified with the body. then Vishayaha Vinivartante. Definitely sense objects are he has dropped off. But Rasa Varjam, left behind the Rasa. Left behind the Rasa. And so definitely such a person. And what will happen then? Asya, Purushasya. For such a seeker also, Rasaha, that rasa, that yearning, that fancy, nivartate, goes away when param drashtva. So when definitely he is doing nididhyasanam, etc., as I told you, and he is definitely following this, and he is also following what we are discussing also, that he has, as I told you, three things are there. If I am a seeker, and if I want to be a wise person, and definitely gaining knowledge daily, and I want to have nishtha in the knowledge, definitely three things are required. I told you. One of that is sense regulation that he is doing. Second is mano nigraha. At a thought level also, there are certain thoughts where he has a regulation, and he is doing nididhyasana, means he is dwelling upon the teaching, what he has learned, what he has heard of, and doubts, etc., has become clear. Such a person, in course of time, param drashtva means atmanam drashtva, or in the seeing the Paramatma, which is Ananda Swarupa, definitely his rasa also goes slowly. But till then, the rasa will remain. Physical, intellectual dependence may go away. He may, if you ask him that if you say objects have a pleasure and security, he will give you half an hour lecture to you and explain you beautifully that there is no kind of a happiness or security in the objects, in money and this and that and etc. etc. The person is more insecure and everything. And he will say the time is not a happiness, and the place is not happiness, and any object is not called happiness, and etc. etc. And Atma alone is this Ananda Swarupa. That is what we experience in the moment of joy. And even in a deep sleep state, even though we don't enjoy any kind of sense objects, and that still we have a joy that proves that Atma alone is Ananda Swarupa. All half an hour he gives a lecture. So intellectual dependence is not there. Understand that very well. This is the problem of all of us. So so intellectual dependence is not there. But emotional dependence continue, because still I consider the body as a self. So that definitely goes away, that error, taking Deha as Atma, that error, Viparita Bhavana, when it goes away, then, just a bit, somebody entered. Then definitely this also, the rasa also will go away. This is what has been told here. So, and this is, Bhagavan has talked about it even in the third chapter. I should tell you one more thing regarding this kind of a withdrawal is very, very, very natural. Not natural, I should say, but it is compulsory. Let's say compulsory for the sannyasis. So this kind of a physical withdrawal of a sense organs from the sense objects should be there, and it is there for sannyasis. But basically Bhagavan says, if that rasa continues in the mind, even it may be sannyasi, but if the rasa continues in the mind, then definitely it would be very dangerous for that person. And that has been told in the third chapter. Karmendriyani sanyamya yaste manasa smaran indriyarthan vimudhatma mithyacharasya uchyate. Bhagavan said karmendriyani sanyamya. So he has regulated all the karmendriyas. He has withdrawn from the karma. So basically sannyasi. Ya aste, he is sitting. Now he is manasa smaran, but his mind is smaran. Remembering what? Indriyarthan, varieties of the sense objects. In the mind he is dwelling upon. He is a vimuda atma. He is a fool, Bhagavan says. So mithyacharasya uchyate, and he is a hypocrite. So that creates, he will have to face a lot of problems. So it's better, that a person remains in the world and become a mature and grows out of it. So that is why we say growing out is very, very important, and then suppression. So suppression is dangerous. So that rasa also will go away in course of time. Then it is no more a suppression, it becomes your nature. I mean, it will remain under regulation. So until this person grows out, this rasa will continue. Rasa. And as I told you, rasaha means raga basically. Why? Because you know this rasa means that kind of a sense of a desire for an enjoyment, and raga also means the same. You like a certain object because you have a desire for raga means a desire for an object because you look upon that object as a source of joy. And therefore rasa you can translate it as a fancy, desire, craving, yearning for a particular object, or a urge that will continue. Only sense objects are gone, and when will this go away? Asya purushasya rasaha api nivartante. Well, even this craving for the sense pleasure also go away when it is replaced by that you have that clarity that I am full and complete, and definitely my own fullness I experience in a moment of joy. There is no joy coming from some source. No object has that kind of a pleasure. Well, that was intellectual conviction, but now you are able to see, because of nididhyasanam etc., that dehatma buddhi, as it goes, and then you realize that you are basically a sakshi of all the three dehas, and you are full and complete. You are limitless, by the way, limitless consciousness, and in which whole world stands. And when you understand that, when you get that clarity more and more, then automatically satisfaction also will arise, which is centered on the self. And so long as the craving also then become less. But till then, this will continue like that. Totally, one can not become free from emotional dependence of objects. And two types of dependence, as I told you, for security and for pleasure. And and Shastra talks about that Ananda, and of course, many people, and there are sannyasis also, who do not enjoy any other sense objects, and still they are happy. You find them, and people may feel sympathy for such sannyasis, but definitely that he has left everything and he has come, etc. I don't know what has happened to him, but why he left, etc. But so they feel some kind of a sympathy for the person. No TV, no movie, he was having everything, but why he left everything? Something must have happened in his life, and etc. etc. They talk a lot, and the person does not have even a dress, same kind of a dress, monotony in a dress, no TV, no movies, and nothing, no gossip, etc. And and then definitely there is no object of enjoyment. His life must have been very dull. But you find many sannyasis, they just study and they are in ananda. That proves that definitely they have grown out of this that rasa also. They have grown out of this thing that the sense objects possess a pleasure, etc. Otherwise, this vidya cannot give them ananda, then definitely they could not prolong for a long time. But if they prolong till the end of the life, just with the books, etc., with the vidya, etc., definitely the jnanam itself is giving them ananda, and of course, and the clarity regarding the self gives them more and more satisfaction, more and more independence, more and more joy. This is the only way to remove the rasa. Intellectually, one may have a conviction. Many seekers, all of us may have a conviction that object does not have a security, object cannot give us a security and pleasure, but emotionally still that kind of a urge of the objects will continue. That's what Bhagavan has called as a rasa. So param drashta nivartante, when this knowledge is well assimilated, he gets that joy. And in front of that joy, all worldly pleasures are insignificant. And if you remember, Bhagavan said, he gave this example also for this wise person, what kind of a joy he has. And that is been described before a few verses. Yavanartha udapane sarvata samplutodake tavan sarveshu vedeshu brahmanasya vijanatah. We have seen that. When a person has got a full lake of, sweet water, good water, then why should you go for that, miserable a corporation water. We call it corporation water. I mean, in every city, they provide a municipal corporations of that city. I mean, they provide the water, and it comes through a small tap. You people have not experienced that, because you are having a lot of water here, plenty of water. So you may not have faced this kind of a shortage of water. But most of our cities in India, especially in summer, they face this kind of a problem, shortage of water. And if you open the tap, you feel that the water should come. One of the five elements, right? Water is one of the five elements. It should come. But instead, all the five elements can come. So of course, Akasha is already there. So nothing to worry about. Space is already there. Because sometimes you open, nothing comes. Space is there. But sometimes you open, you find some kind of a voice. Zzz, like, so air is coming. Sometimes along with less water and more mud comes. So Prithvi Tattva also comes along. I mean, and water also comes. So that particular tap, instead of giving you one of the element, it provides you all the five elements. So that what I am saying is, the person who has got a huge lake, I somehow, in my mind, whenever this verse we have learnt, and before that I have seen that our Chicago lake, very big lake, oh my God, and good water. And I don't consider it as a lake. It is for me, it is an ocean because I don't find any boundaries. Such a big, I have never seen such a lake in India. And therefore, whenever this example is that the person, who gets a full lake full of water. So in my mind, that lake only comes. Anyway, but the person who has that plenty of water like that, then he does not have a craving for that tap water. He will not have craving. Same thing is there. Any object is the object of enjoyment or a joy is basically like a tap water for that person who knows that I am fullness. And my fullness alone, when it gets expressed, it is called happiness. No object, no situation, no time is called happiness. And this is also, this is just a fancy of the mind that a particular object gives me happiness or a security, etc. It is merely a fancy, which Bhagavan calls it as a rasaha. And that is how even in Sanskritam they have a word, rasikaha. Like if you are so much interested, if you have a lot of yearning or urge or a craving for music, they call it as a Sangeeta Rasikaha. So that shows rasaha means yearning. Anyway, so param drashtva nivartate, it goes. So then what happens, Swamiji, if then definitely whenever he contacts the worldly objects, he will not be happy at all. On worldly occasions, whenever suppose somebody cracks a joke in his presence, then he will not laugh. When somebody gives him a good food which he or she likes, and then, he will not be happy. He will sit there, eat also with a big face. If he does, or a big chin, whatever I say. Whatever, I don't know. But so this is how the person does? No, not at all. That's a misconception actually. So, if he goes even to a wedding or somebody calls him, generally sannyasis don't go. But if he goes, or for any other ceremony he goes, if it is a happy occasion and for sharing etc., and then he will be happy also. And he enjoys also. Food he may enjoy the company also. So, or he may enjoy a simple joke also, he may enjoy the nature. So this man, definitely, even though in his mind there is no emotional dependence of the objects, he does not look upon any object as a source of happiness, still, definitely, whenever in worldly transaction, whenever such occasions are there, good occasions are there, he expresses his joy and he becomes happy also. And therefore, it is not, we should not have that kind of a misunderstanding. And somebody gives an example for that purpose. There is a 5-match series, 1-day match. And a 5-match series, Americans are not much aware of this. They may be aware of the baseball, etc. But then in India, they are very fond of the cricket. And well, then 5 one days has to be played between the two countries, and 3 matches are over. And in that one particular country, let's say India has won. Now they have won the whole series. It means now another 2 matches they have to play. So then what they do? What they do? They will not play with joy. They will play with the joy, with the same, sportsman spirit, etc. And they will, with enthusiasm, they will play. Not that now they have got they have got what has to be, what is required. They have got. They have won the series. Then these 2 matches now they should play with, not enthusiasm, etc. No, they will play with enthusiasm. Still, they have a zeal of winning all the 5, and that is possible. Same way, this person has won the game, basically. The Jnani has won the game. But whenever the occasion is there, such happy occasions are there, definitely he won't feel miserable. When somebody cuts a joke, then he don't feel miserable. He also laughs into that. Or maybe food, etc., other things. And so, Jnani enjoys the world, but worldly enjoyment is basically bonus to him. It's not a necessity to him. It is just a bonus to him. He is not dependent upon it. Like bonus is something on which you are not dependent. Salary is one on which you are dependent. Basically, that's what I feel so. So it's like a bonus to him. He does not depend on that. And so rasavarjam rasopyasya param drashtva nivartate. And therefore, living, rasaho api asya purushasya rasaha api param drashtva nivartate. Having seen the Atma which is full and complete, he free from all limitations, he now, that rasa also goes away from him. The further we'll see tomorrow. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.